brings me back to that one book. And all this stuff is going on. All these people avoiding. We covered that one book called Company Commander, and the guy's going through Army Officer Candidate School, and they're like, "Where do you?" I think that's what book it was. I think it was the book Company Commander. But you have to write down your 3 choices of where you want to get stationed. He writes Infantry Platoon Commander, Infantry Platoon Commander, Infantry Platoon Commander. God. And all these other people just avoiding fighting. It's hard for me just straight up to understand the perspective. Like when I read this and I read that all these 68% of people avoided the draft, like I read that, it's hard for me to compute that. It's hard for me to compute like being a man and being like, oh, a bunch of people are going to go fight a war. I'm going to hide over here. Yeah. It's hard for me to compute that. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That it'd be hard for you to compute.
It's hard for me to understand it. What kind of human you have to be. Now, if you're like, hey, actively saying, look, I don't believe in this war, I actually get that. Mm-hmm. I actually get that. If someone says, listen, we shouldn't be over there fighting, and I'm not going, and you want to send me to jail, send me to jail. You want to make me serve in some other capacity? Okay, but I'm not going to go fight that war. If you do that, I'll respect you. Yeah. Right? If you hide and get braces and get a letter from a psychologist, and that's what you do, no, I cannot believe that the numbers are that high. It's crazy.
Yeah, and being in your presence for a long time and kind of reading this book with you, that makes sense. But if you think back to, let's say, a 20-year-old person who isn't like you, like maybe they do have money, maybe they're middle class and they got normal stuff, quote unquote, normal stuff going on. They're not really into politics or history or nothing like that. They're just into normal stuff. And then they hear on the news, hey, there's a war going on, and you know what? You don't have a choice. You have to fight it. And he was like, bro, I don't want to go in the military. Like, that was never my plan. That was never nothing. Yeah. In fact, bro, I kind of want to just be a doctor.
Well, that's a good point. And the good point, the great point that you're making is a point that I've actually been making a lot lately. And I talked about it when I was on with Rogan, which is when you impose something on someone, they reject it. So that's a great example. You impose the draft on people, they're going to get freaking pissed off. They're going to get nervous. They're going to run away from it. So that's a good point. And when I take that into account, then I understand it better. So thank you for helping me understand a little bit better. When someone says, hey, you're going to war, and that's not part of your thing, you kind of think, wait a second, I'm not going to war. Where's the dentist? I need some braces over here. But even with that being said, so I understand that's a good point. But even that being said, the fact that the numbers are that large, that it was a thing to go get braces, that it was a thing that people were writing home from college going, don't worry, Mom, I got to get a letter from a psychologist. We have to pay $125. And they'll write up a report of, that was a thing. It wasn't like a rare case.
Yeah, but and then even then, again, from our perspective, when it's done with, and when things kind of sort themselves out, like that makes sense for sure to maybe have trouble seeing that. But again, think about how it was probably like for anything. Like, hey, what if your neighbor? Well, what if? Hey, look, I grew up on 5th Street, and bro, we're not into politics. We play baseball, and I heard about this quote unquote war. I don't know anyone in the military. I don't know anyone, not one single person. In fact, I heard of my neighbor's cousin that lives in the other side of the country went in the military. I don't know anyone in the military. I want to be a dentist. I want to be a lawyer, and I want to be a fireman. And that's the culture. And then it's like, oh my gosh, you hear it on the news, you get in the mail, whatever. You got to register for the draft, which is this. You have to go in the military, and you got to go fight this war that you don't know anything about. You don't know anything in the military, and now you have to do it. Otherwise, you go to jail. So, and it's like, damn, now I got to risk my life for something I don't really know about. Not necessarily that I'm against or for or nothing like that. I just don't really know about it. I'm 18 years old. I don't know about that kind of stuff right now. And then your neighbor goes and is like, hey, I can't go. I got flat feet. And we're like, oh, wait, do I have flat? I don't even know if I have flat feet. Let me go to the doctor or whatever and see what up. Oh, this guy, I had braces. Let me go see if I need some braces because I don't want to go either. None of us want to go. We never did. Yeah. And all I have to do is, and then you start to just get that culture where it's not shameful to go get braces. It's
yeah,
not,
well, that's
you know?
a big piece of it. Those are all great points, and you're right. And imposing things on people, and just like this, just like imposing the draft. That's why people always like, hey, don't you think everyone should serve in the military? I always generally think not really, because when you start imposing things on people, hey, would it be good? Yes. Would it be good to do some kind of service? Would it be good to understand what it's like to be in the military or go overseas? Yes, that stuff would all be great. But when you start imposing things on people, so you're right. I guess I was having a little bit of an allergic reaction to this.
Yes, sir.
I was having a little bit of maybe a lot of bit of an allergic reaction.
Well, that's a bias, right? It's, it's curse of knowledge, or I don't know, something where you can't. I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess it's also, I guess what makes me most frustrated is that it's like the entire chain of command, right? You got Lyndon Johnson, the president, you got the second, and they're all making these moves that are based on helping people. Hey, well, we're not going to, you go to college, you're good. It's all a scam. Yeah, that's what's pissing me off, I guess, more than anything else, is that it's a scam. Yeah. And the other thing is, if you are going to go to war, right, you should be able to explain why we're going to war, and the people should be able to say, yeah, that actually makes sense. Yeah. And then you go to war, and you realize that people are going to get killed, and you realize you're going to kill some bad people, and you realize that some civilians are going to die as well. All those things. Talked about that stuff all the time. All that stuff is going to happen. And also, if you say, hey, we're going to war, and you cannot explain why, and the populace goes, hey, dude, what are we doing? As soon as you got people going, hey, I'm going to go get freaking, going to go piss on myself so I don't have to go. And now you got a whole group, a whole class of people that are saying we don't want to fight. Maybe we should reconsider what we're doing there, because that's a problem. You know, if you're in charge of a company or you're in charge of a platoon, you say, hey, we're going to go over this hill, and the whole platoon or 2/3 of the platoon goes, hey, boss, I'm not so sure about that. Or you're in a company, you say, we're going to go in this new market area, and a bunch of your leadership and a bunch of your mid-level managers say, hey, boss, I don't want to go into that market area. What about you? I don't want to go. What about you? I don't want to go. Well, okay, you have to go into that market area. Maybe you should reconsider what you're doing. You're not smarter than everybody else. That's a problem.